Don Bailey, we're having a little fashion show here during the commercial. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr. trying to update his fashion with Coach Todd Hartley, admiring his shoes. Those are sharp shoes.
Thanks,
They're the new trend.
Signing day shoes.
Signing day shoes.
Just for today.
All right,
go with
dancing
that.
shoes.
Tell us about some signing day superstitions.
Man, I always try to dress up. And it's just, the thing, it really is, people say it's equivalent to Christmas Eve almost for coaches. I mean, you just can't sleep and you're so anxious, nervous, you don't know what the day is going to hold. You have an idea, but you really don't know. You know how coaches are, man, until that fax comes in. And so you can't sleep. You get up early, and you try to put on something nice looking to wear, and you come in, but it's been awesome, man. It's been
Well,
awesome.
you got a few new guys, pieces to add to your puzzle, which we'll get to. You got a couple of tight end, a receiver that might be a tight end, might be anything he wants.
Yeah.
Got an athlete that could also be anything he wants, but certainly should figure into special teams play. And earlier we were looking at Bandy's play, and half the highlights are him blocking kicks.
Yeah, which that's certainly exciting. There's a couple of those DBs, man. That if you just look back at what we did last year, and you kind of see who our personnel was on the field during special teams. A lot of defensive players. So you see Bandy and you see Derek Smith and some of those guys. Amari Carter is already here. And those guys fire you up when you're the special teams coordinator for sure. And especially Trajan. His film's unbelievably so quick. Has a knack for blocking punts, and that's a natural trait. It's not easy. You either can do it or you can't. And that guy can definitely has the knack of coming after the ball, man. And a couple of these guys too. You talk about you lose a Malcolm Lewis in the kickoff return. You got Braxton coming back punt return, but some of these guys are also dynamic with the ball in their hand in the return game.
It doesn't seem that the sell is near as tough as it used to be for special teams. If you go back 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, special teams was, if I'm a starter, I don't want to do that. Now, if you're a starter, you are doing it.
That's right.
And Mark Walton, to me, is as good an example as anything.
And that's kind of the standard you set when you come in first day. You're like, hey, this phase is just as important as offense and defense, and our best player is going to play. You want to be good on offense, you play your best players. You want to be good on defense, you play your best players. Well, hell, we want to be good on special teams. You can play your best players, and that starts with the older guys, and they got to buy in, and those guys did that, man. And Mark Walton, Corn Elder, great examples of that, big-time plays they made this year. So those guys see that, and the younger guys are like, man, I want to do that too. And it gets them fired. So it makes coaching those guys a little bit easier because they want to do it, And then you recruiting-wise, I mean, people know when they go to the NFL, you're going to have to play special teams in the NFL too.
There's no doubt.
And these kids know that nowadays, so they understand the importance of contributing on the teams.
Before you came on the show, Coach Searles was with us, and he ran out the door, and he had our microphone on, so you may have heard the phone ringing. And Zalante Hillary has just sent in his letter of intent, so I'm sure Coach was very happy about that.
Yes,
You might be happy about that as well.
Zalante's from southeast Georgia, Brunswick, and he's been committed for a while, but as you know, sometimes commitment just means a bigger target, which is kind of unfortunate nowadays, but he is a big, athletic man. That was really a kid that was kind of raw, that not many people knew a lot about, that we saw during the spring, obviously recruiting DJ, and saw that he had size and just so athletic and light on his feet, and he played with this mean streak. Man, he's kind of a gentle giant. You meet him in person and, kind of soft-spoken, but then you see him on the field and he turns a switch on, and he's a mean, nasty, physical dude that can run, flat-out run for a lineman, and we think his potential, his ceiling, man, is very, very, very high, and very excited about him.
We got 5 offensive linemen signed. I mean,
Yes,
you almost take that every year if you could.
Awesome.
I mean,
That's
that's a fantastic number. And
Coach,
let's go right to tight end. Brian Polindi was from Texas.
Yes, sir.
And how'd you find him, number one, and what made you think that he's going to be able to step right in?
Well, when I'm very fortunate to coach the position of tight end at this unbelievable institution. And so that kind of sells itself. So with that being said, you should be able to go out and find the best tight ends across the country, and so when you go through the process, you go through these lists and you're looking at guys and you're watching tape. He was a guy that came across the desk and turned his tape on. You're like, man, this kid is very physical, very tough. And a lot of times tight ends now, it's a projection position. There's not a lot of tight end being used in high school nowadays. So what you do is you find a 6'4" kid that's 220 pounds. He might be playing quarterback. He might be a bigger receiver, Evidence Njoku or somebody like that. And you're like, all right, I think he can get big enough. I think he's athletic enough. I think he can play tight end. It's a very projection-based position. But when you see a kid like Brian who actually plays tight end in an offense that uses a tight end, and you see him blocking defensive ends, and you see him blocking linebackers, and see him running routes and stuff that we do, you're like, man, I want to see that. I mean, you're more sure about kids like that. And you saw him on film, and he's just tenacious at the point of attack and was really physical and got after people and went out and met him. As a great kid, great grades, and just it'd be a great fit here.
All right, well, we're off to a really good start here today. We're only like an hour and a half into our show, and more to come. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Feel free to leave the shoes behind, by the way. We'll take them.
No doubt. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
University of Miami tight ends coach and special teams coach Todd Hartley joining us as we continue on our National Signing Day show from the campus of the University of Miami right here on ACC Network Extra.